Thank you very much for joining us here on Urban Debate on Mirror Now. I'm Hina Gambhir. Maximum City, Mumbai, carries the tag of being the safest city among metros in India. In fact, last year, Mumbai made it to the list of 60 global safe cities as well. But the recent report released by Mumbai police on the crime record in the city may wipe out the tag of safe city for Mumbai. Now, according to the annual crime report 2021, 5,496 cases of crimes against women and children were registered in the city in 2021 as compared to 4,539 in 2020. Now, this is, of course, much lower than what the situation was in 2019 when there were about 6,438 cases. Now, this means that there has been a 21% increase in crime against women and children in a city that was considered to be one of the safest so far, and that too in a year when most of us stayed inside our homes. This is about the year 2021, when for most part of the year we had pandemic-related restrictions. Let us now tell you in detail about the data that Mumbai police have revealed, and this data is going to shock you because this gives us an understanding of how the situation is across Mumbai. So if you look at South Mumbai, 49 cases were registered, 33 of them could be solved in time. In central Mumbai, 133 cases were registered, but the number of solved cases is 120. In East Mumbai, 203 cases were registered, 197 could be solved. In West Mumbai, the number of cases was much higher, 235, 192 could be solved. North Mumbai, the situation is even worse in terms of the number of cases that were registered. It means so many crimes happened. 269 cases were registered. Only 241 could be solved. Now, this report, viewers, also mentions specific locations in Mumbai where crime has witnessed a significant spike. Now, Bandra to Andheri, Bandra Kurla Complex to Vile Parle, Powai to Jogeshwari. So, tonight I want to discuss and ask the guests, is Mumbai losing the tag of being the safest city? How should we read these numbers that have revealed that there has been a 21% jump in crimes against women and children in just 1 year in the city of Mumbai? Joining us on the broadcast on Urban Debate this evening is Asif Bamla, BJP spokesperson from Maharashtra, Dr. Raju Waghmare, Congress spokesperson, General Secretary Maharashtra, live with us as well, Kishore Tiwari, leader Shiv Sena, joining us, Yashovardhan Azad, former IPS and Central Information Commissioner, live with us this evening as well, and Umang Sabharwal, who is a women's activist, live with us this evening. Thank you very much, all of you, for joining us here on Urban Debate on Mirror Now this evening. Umang Sabharwal, I want to begin the discussion with you. How will you like to react to the data that has been released by Mumbai Police, and during a year when most of us were locked inside our homes in Mumbai, in different parts of the country, at that time, crimes against women and children have actually seen an increase of about 21%.
I would actually say that, it shouldn't be maybe as surprising to us, because I think one thing which we often do not understand in the discourse regarding women's safety is that it's very often that crimes against women are done by people known to the woman. So when we are locked inside our home, you are, you're creating little opportunity for women to maybe escape situations where the violence is happening inside the home. So things like domestic violence, the things like intimate partner violence does increase. And I think that is to be acknowledged. And similarly with crimes against children, we have to realize that, it's not very, there is a factor where, of course, there's a responsibility and there's a lot of violence on the street, but there's also a lot of violence inside the home, in which I think our systems are much less equipped to deal with. And the knowledge and sort of resources available for women in cases like domestic violence need to increase a lot more to realize that, these are also areas, these are also situations which add to these numbers. And similarly for things like, crimes against children, again, there's a lot of most of these cases do come from known perpetrators. So there have to be systems in place which acknowledge that, crimes do happen from intimate sources and then create resources to tackle those.
Interesting point you've raised, Umang. And of course, we'll talk about what is now being done to deal with this issue, considering we know what the problem really is. And there's data to suggest that, to complement that as well. Mr. Yashovardhan Azad, how will you like to react to this data? Do you think that, Mumbai may probably lose the tag of being the safest metro city in the country?
You see, in terms of crime against women, I think, yes, Bombay ranks only second to Delhi. And as far as the safest city goes, it is Kolkata. Kolkata for 2 years in succession. In fact, the NCRB has also rated Kolkata as the safest city for women. In the case of Mumbai, it's unfortunate, but there were unprecedented times. First, let me congratulate Mumbai for reporting accurately. It's good to, if you're reporting correctly, there is a correct appreciation of crime and that may lead to better solving. See, we are already crippled at the all India level because the crimes against women, the pendency is about 91% and the conviction rate is only 22%. So there is a basic systemic problem. Now, in terms of what has happened during COVID, it was very accurately described by my previous speaker that domestic violence does increase in certain times. And in metro cities, the children are really vulnerable, whether you talk in terms of forced labor, abductions, and the vulnerabilities are absolutely acute. So what I'm saying, in a place like Bombay, we'll talk about the solutions later. It's a difficult city. There are too many people. Yes, there was a lockdown, but during lockdown has its own problems. People were out of jobs. So there was there was a fillip to various kinds of a crime. So, Hina, if you break up this crime, you'll get to know exactly what were the crimes which are, against the women, what kind of crimes, whether they were at home, whether they were outside, what about the children. So then we'll get a better appreciation. But it's true. Of the figures which have been presented, the increase against women and minor is an issue which needs to be looked into very seriously by the Mumbai police.
So I have the breakup as well of the data that was given by Mumbai police. So the West Zone, in fact, had 235 rape and 630 molestation cases, followed by the North Zone with 269 rape and 525 molestation cases. South Mumbai registered the least number of rapes and molestation cases. The FIRs here we are talking about. We all know many cases go unreported as well. But Mr. Azad, the sense from the data that we've got specifically, it tells us little bit about the trend. Maybe South Mumbai appears to be safer than other regions in Mumbai. West Zone, North Zone, they seem to be quite dangerous.
Well, relatively, yes. I mean, there are always, dark spots. In fact, in police, there is this predictive analysis which you do, that which are the particular areas which are very, very, vulnerable and where, crimes can be reported in future. There is a particular kind of a scheme. But, the issue is that the policing is actually the same. You can't really say that in this part, because of better policing, there were no crimes. And as you know, again, my previous speaker said very lightly, that, cases of molestation, cases of rape, etc., in most of the cases, they are done by known people. So this would have happened. This is by chance that it happened in the particular area. But if there are crimes in the public areas, like molestation, dark areas, something happening outside colleges, schools, etc., that is an issue which needs to be tackled very, very fiercely and rigorously. And that should be done by the Mumbai police.
Okay. Okay. Kishore Tiwari, how will you like to react to the comments we've heard so far, and with the way data is showing a 21% increase in crimes against women and children in just 1 year in Mumbai? Do you also see that, maybe something somewhere is not right and Mumbai could actually lose this tag? At least the perception is there that, Mumbai is safer than other metros. Mr. Azad believes Kolkata is the safest, but at least for Mumbai, there's this perception that it is quite safe for women. But this data is scary.
No, the Gambhir madam is still we are the safest city, but the rise in crime against women and the children is a very serious thing. What we achieved from 2000 in 2020, we achieved 32% lower crime rate, but this year we achieved a 21% rise. So this is a matter of concern. Irrespective of the politics, I would like to take a responsibility, and we will see that the integrated plan is implemented, and the crime, there is a 0% tolerance with Maha-Agadi government, and Uddhavji is very much concerned. But due to this lockdown and all these things, the police would have been not functioning. But Mumbai is the safest city in India, and if you look at the earlier average crime rate from 2015, it was around 5,500. So we are still concerned about the crime, but we will see that in future it is rectified. What happened to the some part of the Mumbai? Why the crime rate? It is a social engineering issue, and we have to tackle it integratedly. And if the police, there are some issues related to the police and the patrolling, we will rectify it. But we have taken very serious note of it, and the CM will look into the.
So you acknowledge that probably. So you acknowledge, Mr. Kishore Tiwari, that probably the police did not do the job properly, and that's the reason why the crime rate has gone up. You're acknowledging that?
No, I am not acknowledging. The police data acknowledging the same. If there is there was good work done earlier, that has been watched out. So our concern is that the 0% crime rate should be there. There are certain issues which are related to the social engineering. So civil society should also play a role. But the sensitivity of the government is always there. We will ask the accountable police officer what happened to them. Because we have a very sincere and honest officer, that is the Hemant Nagrale. He has to answer it, and our government will look into the fact, and we will try to rectify, and we will try to see that the picture of from 19 to 20, from 21 to 22, more improvement is there. So we brought it from 6,400 to 4,500.
Asif Bhamla, will you like to respond to what Mr. Kishore Tiwari has said, that now data is in front of us? Of course, steps will be taken. They have a zero, tolerance policy as far as this particular issue is concerned. They are not really going to sit quietly.
Well, as a Mumbaiker, having been born and brought up in a city like Mumbai, which is the commercial capital of the country, and rather is always rated as the safest city, not only in India but even globally, if you ask me. So, I mean, even now while I'm on the debate, I still can't believe that I've seen a female or a girl stepping out of the house at 3 a.m. or 4 a.m. And back at the wee hours in the morning, and still it is said to be one of the safest city. But now coming back to the details, I mean, given by none other than the Commissioner Hemant Nagrale, that the crime against women and the cyber crime are two major issues which the state has to deal with. And I think we need to address this. And I'm quite shocked and surprised, because I myself have been very ignorant to that. And I've been thinking that my city is very safe overall. So the crime against women, if I may read, has gone from 2020 to 21 from 5,920 to 6,500. You see, and if you ask me, cases of cruelty by husband has gone relatively from 646 to 850. Crime heads, rape, molestation, eve teasing. So this is an alarming, trend, which I think which needs immediate attention, because we have never seen a situation like that. Now the crime rates have increased, and overall, if you ask me, the crime rates between women and children have also increased overall by 26%, in spite of there being a lockdown for the past for nearly about 2 years. So the cases registered by the Mumbai police, have taken a jump of by 26%. In spite of the fact, I appreciate the Mumbai police. I mean, I understand that there are steps like Nirbhaya squads that have been put up, and I'm sure there is a major challenge with the Mumbai police. But I think now things need to be flexed up, because the only issue is we need to draw a list of repeat sexual offenders, and we also need to ensure that they are regularly externed from the city.
When BJP was in power, Asif...
Mr. Tiwari, one second. Mr. Tiwari, one second.
No, I did not interfere when you were talking. So I expect a similar
Mr. Tiwari, let him
please.
quickly finish his point.
I did not interfere.
Yes. Mr. Bhamla, make your point. Quickly finish it.
So the repeat of,
go ahead,
sexual offenders, there is the city needs to be having a tab of missing persons, if you ask me, on a regular basis. If you remember the recent case of Carol Mesquita, I mean, just a 28-year-old girl was killed from Ville Parle and murdered and found in Palghar. Not only that, from my area, from my constituency in Bandra, where I reside, last year I had addressed this case, and of course, we got a lot of support from Mr. Vishwas Nagre Patil. I will not deflect from the fact. I mean, the girl was killed by two people in an area like Khar, I'm sure you're all aware about, on a New Year's night. It was a brutal murder. And now the victims have scot-free, if you ask me. So, I mean, we certainly are not being critical, because this is my Mumbai, this is your Mumbai. We are proud of the culture of Mumbai, and we proudly support...
And Dr. Raju Waghmare, the point is, with this increase in crime rate, especially against women and children, Mumbai may actually lose the tag of being the safest city in the country. Of course, data-wise, it not me, but there is this perception that Mumbai, of course, is much safer for women and children as compared to other big metros that we have today. Dr. Raju Waghmare, Asif Bhamla, I got your point.
We are worried about that.
Well, that's the reason why we are having this debate as well today.
What?
Yes, that's the reason we are having this debate tonight, because, the perception is that it is safest. Dr. Raju Waghmare.
Can I say something now? Yeah. See, first of all, this is my Mumbai, and I am a Mumbaikar. And my city is the safest city in the world. I travel all over the world, West, East, Middle East, and I believe my city is the safest city in the world. And the people who came out, the women, children comes out and go at night, and there is no fear. If you look into the situation when you're talking about data, let's talk about data. If 2020 data, if you look into that, and 2021 when the pandemics, we released some of the part, and then you see the 21 data, that shows the jump. But if you look into the data in 2019, and if you see that data when everything was normal like any other city in the world, and then you see the comparison, you will find in 2019 to 2020, there was a decline of 47% crime. And from 2020 to 2021,
and then there was an increase of 21%.
26%. But can you
I'm talking specifically about crime against women and children here. Yes, Dr. Waghmare, you're talking
can I
about
say
overall
something now?
crime
Let me
rate.
finish.
Yes, go ahead, sir.
Then you can ask me anything you want. See, I'm explaining you. If you see the women crime in 2019, when everything was normal life, it was 6,438. And in 2020, it was 4,539. And then again, it's increased. So comparatively, what was before in 2018, 2019, the rate is still slow. I am not defending that. I want my city has to be safe. But you have to see that when the pandemic in 2020, when there was a lockdown, 21, when the lockdown opened, the police has more work to do. Police was more involved in all the pandemic activity, closing, not closing, taking care of the people, and all those things happen because when the crime is happening against women and children, if you see the data and you dissect the data, you will see it is happened because of the acquaintance, because of the relative. All these things are happening after pandemic. You have to see that the pandemic is creating a social misbehavior
You are
among the
expecting
human
a
in
pat
all
on the
over
back
world
because
where
the
was
number
lockdown.
is lower than
Listen to me.
2019.
Let me finish. Let me
Dr.
finish.
Waghmare,
The
are you
police-
expecting a pat on the back
police
because
has
the number is lower than 2019? Are you expecting appreciation? Why should be crime?
no.
Why should there be crime against women at all? I mean, you know, these might just be numbers for you, sir.
Listen to
These
me.
might just be
No.
numbers for you, but
Can I-
these
can I
are
talk? Can
rape
I say
cases,
no?
these are
Can I
molestation
say no?
cases. No, it can't be a monologue, sir. I
say
have to
now,
ask questions
when
also.
everything
I am
is-
asking
see,
you questions now.
You have to compare. You have to compare. You have to compare apple with apple. You cannot compare apple with orange. When everything was normal 2019, when the BJP government was there, the rate
is doing that?
for the rapes
Who
and
is
the crime
comparing
against
apples
women
to
was very
oranges?
high. That time we never talk about it. So that is what I'm trying to say. When everything
So
was
today
normal,
also you
in
don't
BJP
want us to
government,
talk
the
about
rate
it.
of women
Today
crime
also you
was
don't
high.
want us to talk about it. When the
No,
crime
so
rate
what
has
you-
gone
what I
up,
want-
you don't want us to
what
talk
I
about it.
want-
Quick response,
what I
Asif
want-
Bamla, Kishore
what
Tiwari,
I want,
and
you
that Mr.
cannot
Azad.
compare-
You made your
cannot
point, Dr.
compare
Waghmare.
apple with orange.
I am
That is what I wanted to
amazed.
say.
But I am
When
only
you take
comparing
data-
the
I am
situation in
amazed
Mumbai,
at
sir.
Detail.
I am comparing the situation in Mumbai in 2019,
talking
how
about
the
women.
situation was, how the
Yes,
crime
I'm
rate
talking
went down.
about
I
the
agree
Mumbai
with you in
crime rate.
2020
I am
because the
amazed at
lockdown
Mr.
that time was
Waghmare.
more
Government
stringent.
was there.
In
If you compare,
2021,
it
it's
is
back
still low.
up.
We want to make it more low than
I
this.
Okay.
am amazed at Mr. Waghmare. I opened
Asif
my
Bamla wants to
debate.
respond.
I am amazed at Mr. Waghmare. I opened my debate that I am amazed at Mr. Waghmare because when I opened the debate, I said I still don't believe that these are the statistics because my Mumbai is the safest and we are proud of that. We are proud of that culture and the basic fabric of being a safe city. It's a smart city in the world. But these figures are not put up by you and me. It's not a political debate. It's a debate of concern for the betterment of the city. Because we want the same fabric to remain
You have
in a
to,
similar
when you
fashion.
talk
We
about
can't
in detail,
Now,
then you
we
have to
can't
talk
compare that
about
to
in
Delhi
detail.
or anybody
You
else.
take the numbers of
Now,
2019, you take the numbers of 2020
I am-
only.
I am-
Why not
I
when
am ready
everything
to
was
debate with
normal?
you, gentlemen.
2020,
I am
half
ready
was
to debate
normal,
with you.
half was not normal.
I am only giving you analysis given by
Okay,
our-
one at a time,
our
one at a time,
commissioner,
gentlemen.
Mr.
Kishore Tiwari also wants to respond.
Don't
Asif Bamla, Dr. Waghmare, you both have made your points. One second. You both have made your points. Let others also participate in the debate. Asif Bamla, I'll come back to you again. Kishore Tiwari has been wanting to make a point as well. Kishore Tiwari, please respond to what Asif Bamla has said.
Women in
Okay.
the 2021 have increased from 5,000.
Asif- Asif-
My point
Asif,
is very simple. These are not numbers. These are cases,
Vinay,
crimes
Asif-
against women and children. Let's be a little sensitive
Asif,
towards
Asif,
it.
please.
Gentlemen, please,
there
one
is
at a
an
time. No,
alarming
one
trend
second.
of-
Mr.
Asif,
Tiwari,
Asif,
Mr.
Asif,
Tiwari.
stop.
Asif Bamla, I'll come back to you, please. Asif Bamla, I
And
will
out
come
of
back to
which
you, please. 1 second. Let Mr. Tiwari
59%
respond.
minor girls in the
I've
rape
got your
cases.
point, Asif
Sorry.
Bamla.
The 59% minor
Mr.
rape
Yes,
Bamla, we
Mr.
heard
Kishore
you.
Tiwari. Kishore Tiwari, please
Yeah.
go ahead.
Meena, I want to add something. Whether it's a 4,500, 5,500 or 6,500. It is a matter of concern for us. Any rape and molestation case, the tag of Mumbai safest should not be discredited. We will look into the matter. I have already spoken to you. But it is not the matter which is related with the law and order and patrolling. The issue was related with the epidemic and social engineering also. Anyway, you have raised the issue. I will take with my chief minister and the police authorities also. Our this additional chief secretary home will also have an integrated plan. In fact, the environment in Mumbai is much more safest, and we have been traveling around, and I do agree with Raju Waghmare. Whether the 19 data was 6,500 and today is the 5,000, but still it is a matter of concern. We will have to see that there should be a zero tolerance. There should not be there should be a cohesive atmosphere, the civil society and counseling and everything, because you cannot make it urban or rural. In fact, the rural Maharashtra has also reported the cases, but only taking the
Sir,
benchmark
we
as
are
the
not making it urban versus rural. It's the data, in fact, that has been given by Mumbai police, which tells us, zone-wise how the situation has been. Dr. Waghmare wants to respond, but before that, Mr. Azad has been wanting to come in as well. Mr. Azad, go ahead, please.
It's great to have pride in your own city, and I have a great pride in my city, Delhi, but I don't shy away from speaking on pollution over monkey patrolling the terraces in Saket, as crime-wise and the riots which have taken place. Now, it's a given fact that Kolkata is the safest city for women for the last 2 years. I want to bring back the debate, as Hina wanted, on the focusing on, because purely talking about statistics of earlier years won't help. It's a fact that there has been a jump in crimes against women and minors in the current year, which is just preceding year, and we need to get into that. In fact, I am happy that the leader of Shiv Sena talked about some positive points which should now be addressed instead of quibbling over the statistics. Now, any crime against a woman or a minor is a sensitive issue. It's a serious issue. Now let me just bring to his attention that the utilization of Nirbhay funds, which was set up in 2013, is despicable. It picked up the utilization only from 2018. It will be a good idea to look into the Nirbhay funds utilization. In fact, they have been compartmentalized. Of the fund utilization of the Ministry of Home Affairs, it's much better. But of the fund utilization, say, given by the Women of Child and Welfare, it's not more than even 25%. So Maharashtra has to look into it very, very seriously. There was the case of Mahila volunteers. There was the case of the CCTVs. There was the case of things in the hospitals, alarms in the buses. This is how in public places, you can control the crimes against women. And lastly, Hina, if I can just take another minute, is that a woman, when she goes to report, it should be a redressal. It should not be an ordeal. There has to be a special sensitivity and a kind of a sophistication attached to women's investigation, whether when you take a statement, whether the way she's treated in hospital, whether she goes to the court, and this will require a real change. And that is why the leader should sit with the police commissioner and other people, how they can bring it about. It's very important to do it now.
You're absolutely right what you're saying, Mr. Azad, and Mr. Tiwari also made a very important point that he is going to take up this matter now with the Chief Minister as well, and we can really hope that things become better from here on. Umang Sabharwal also wants to make a point. Umang, now, the Mumbai Police Commissioner had also mentioned that Nirbhaya squads were created in about 94 city police stations, and the helpline 103 that's there, it addresses complaints by women as well as children. Do you think perhaps shortage of officers, including women officers for Nirbhaya squads could also be the reasons behind the rise in crime rate?
Yeah, definitely. I think that is that would be a possibility, and also, I mean, under the circumstances that a lot of police forces do have to be sort of designated to handle the pandemic, one can understand such a situation arising where there are shortages, that there's a shortage of resources. But I would also like to say that it's not only the numbers, but also important to see that there is enough training in the police. Like, I think it's very common to hear instances from women, and it's a very common perception that the police is not accessible. And that might be slightly different for the Mumbai police, but not by a huge margin. And I think those are the kind of things which the system needs to try to improve, that make the police more accessible for women and children, make the knowledge of whatever systems are in place, like, Nirbhaya squads that are available in place, to be really spread out more widely. And then make sure that the people on those squads are well trained and sensitized to deal with these issues, because I feel that bad experiences really make it difficult for women to go and access the resources that might be available to them. And secondly, I would like to bring the conversation also back to the larger cultural context in which these crimes happen. Because regardless of a spike or not, the fact is that there has always been a lot of crime against women in all our cities. And even though Mumbai tends to be safer in general, there is no denying that, there is a problem of patriarchy, and there is a problem in culturally acknowledging why women are made to feel unsafe in our cities and why there are crimes against women. Just to have enough women representing them, causes for women in important places would be really important. Like, with all due respect to everyone, there are 4 men here to, defend their stances on this matter today. And it would have been interesting if in these positions of power where these people are responsible for women's safety, there were a bit more women as well.
I would like to add, Hira, I would like to add.
Okay, Mr. Kishore Tiwari wants to respond.
No, Umang, we are already, we have largest ladies police constable in Mumbai, and officers also. And we have 100% women officers and the constable based police stations also. And our response time is very good. The rise in the rape and molestation cases is a matter of concern. And we will come back. We will also, Umang, come back. And Hina, we will see that the next year we will be discussing the data. It will be much more lower. But redressal system and addressal system, both have their own lacuna.
It's really good to hear, Mr. Kishore Tiwari, what you are saying, that of course, next year when the data comes out, the number you're telling us will be much lower. And it's good to hear you telling us that, you'll definitely do something about this particular issue after Mirror now has raised it as well. But Dr. Raju Waghmare, Umang has raised a very interesting point, and that is about cultural overhaul as well. Are some steps being taken in this regard too?
Yeah, definitely. See, I totally agree what Ms. Woman said, that there has to be we have to come out with a totally different approach. See, in Mumbai, if you see, every police station has the lot of women police, and every police station, whenever the woman enter to complain or any sort of complaint, the police officers or the police constable has to address them. That kind of protocols are there in Mumbai police, and Mumbai police is totally aware of it. We have to increase the women police force, what we have right now, more than that, that is number one. We have to increase a social complete awareness among the women as well as the police, and we have to create that the funding that what we are going to give to the police, that will be totally concentrated, the most of the funding among the children and women crime. We put all over the city, we put the CCTV. We have to increase that. We have to increase the helplines more, and we have to make sure that all the places where we see that there are the chances, we cannot put police in every corner, but we have to see that all the you can see the CCTVs or the digital system or the police patrolling in Mumbai has to be increased. I totally agree what Mr. Tiwari says. This is our Mahavikas Agadi. We believe, and we believe totally on women and children's safety. Not only that, we believe on each and every person who stays in Mumbai has to be safe. There is a systematically a portrait is going to you can say the decharacterize of Mumbai and Maharashtra. So that is the reason we are talking about that we are not at all that low. We are the safest people, and we will definitely improve ourselves in this category to make
you
sure
will definitely
that each
improve,
and every
but
person
not this
in
woman. I
women
will
will
like
be
to
the same.
tell you, Dr. Waghmare, her name is Umang, who had made that point, and Umang wants to respond as well. Umang.
Just very quickly, since I have Mr. Kishore Tiwari's ears, and we are not only talking about the safety of women but also children. And in a lockdown situation, children also tend to be very vulnerable. And I think that not only the police system but also other systems like the education systems need to step in to support children in these circumstances. And just quickly wanted to point out that things like good sex education, for example, does have a direct correlation with decreasing instances of child sexual abuse and equips children to deal with such circumstances better. So I think there's a lot of factors to consider here, and with like a lot of coordinated efforts, I think there is possibility of getting better stats next year, as you said.
Okay, Asif Bhamla, do you also agree?
No, he is doing only politics. Asif?
No, I will agree with my friend, Mr. No, I will like to apprehend on what Mr. Waghmare said, that next year we would sit on a similar debate and we will have the numbers scaling down. I welcome that move because
Definitely.
as a Mumbaiker, as I said, it's important for all of us. But currently, So, but currently the situation that is vulnerable has to be sorted beyond politics. It's not that, I mean, it's not that we are proud of our police force. I mentioned this in a statement. I've given an example in the opening statement of a situation that happened in Bandra, in Khar, where the police force supported us. But seeing the alarming rate, which, as I said before this debate, I too wasn't aware, because we don't come across this on a very regular basis. You see the rise from 64,656 criminal cases that have been registered, and the 26% jump in the cases of sexual assault, amongst minors, again, is a matter of huge concern. But as I said, it's a big challenge for the Mumbai police. And now with the Nirbhaya squads and all that, I'm sure, and we look forward. Let's be optimistic. We aren't negating the entire issue. We aren't being pessimists, but at the same time, I think we need to roll up the sleeves to ensure that next year again, when we sit down for a debate, we should be proud of our Mumbai. We are proud of our Mumbai police force, but we should be proud that our sisters, the women here in the city who travel globally from across Mumbai, have the same feeling of Mumbai being a fabric, a city which is safe 24/7.
Okay, Dr. Waghmare wants to respond, and then Mr. Azad.
See what happened. The BJP has the habit to say that yes, we are with you, and then back of that they goes and they again discredit the Mumbai and the Maharashtra all the time. So this is the same tactics.
I have told
Mr.
you, don't
Bhamla
bring
is
politics
using.
in the
But
debate.
today
Mr.
they are
Waghmare.
supporting
Yes,
you.
everything
This
is
is
good.
आपकी भी
Today
बहन
they are
है,
supporting
हमारी
you.
भी
Again, he's
है।
talking
Dr.
about that.
Waghmare, today
I
the
will
BJP
not
spokesperson
tolerate-
here is supporting
I
you,
will
is
not
agreeing
tolerate
to what
anybody
Mr. Tiwari had
bad
said earlier,
about
the
my
promise that he
city
gave to us
or my
earlier.
state.
Why play
state
politics
or
over
my
this issue,
city.
sir? Dr.
We will not
Waghmare?
tolerate if
Ashamed of the way you are
anybody
reciprocating.
discredit our city. We cannot do that. And there is another thing I wanted to tell.
वाघमारे जी,
At least
आपके भी-
Mumbai
आपके
police
भी
is
बहनें
very
माताएं
honest
हैं,
enough
उनकी
to
भी
give,
सुरक्षा
One at a
to give
time,
the
one at a
data.
time.
सबको
To give
situation
the
से
data.
जूझना है, लेकिन
Listen
आप
to
इसमें
me.
भी सियासत करना चाहो, ये आपकी
The
मर्जी है।
Mumbai police
आपको
commissioner
इसमें भी
is
सियासत
very
नजर आ रही है,
honest
आपकी
to
Okay, we
give
don't want
data.
politics on this particular issue, gentlemen. One at a time, one at a time. Dr. Waghmare.
भाग्य है कि आपकी भी आपकी माताएं बहनें
Central
हमारी
government-
माताएं
Asif
बहनें
Bhamla, Asif Bhamla, one second.
स्टेटमेंट दिया है।
Okay, gentlemen, you can't fight on this very, very sensitive issue, please. I'm not going to allow this. I'm sorry. Asif Bhamla, this can't be a platform for a political fight between the BJP and the Congress party. Dr. Waghmare and Asif Bhamla, please, I'm not going to allow this. And Mr. Azad, the another view that I'm also getting is, can this increase in number of cases that we are talking about also be because of free and fair manner in which the registration of FIR is taking place? Because
Well,
a lot of cases go unreported as well.
You're right. In fact, you'd recall right in the beginning, I said I congratulate the Mumbai police that this increase has been reported actually. And one thing is there, and I'll agree with one of the speakers, that by and large, I mean, Mumbai women are definitely safer than many parts of the country. There's no doubt about that. So this is a specific issue which has to be addressed in that manner. So number one, what I'd like to say is, if security of women and children is your prime consideration, then let the budget reflect it. And let your program implementation and the percentage of implementation reflect it.
Yeah, you're
Number
right.
two, first is that why don't you fill up all the vacancies? Mumbai is a maximum city. It needs to have 100% vacancies filled completely. Then ramp up your technology. In railway funds, you have everything like alarm on the buses, you have Mahila volunteers, you have call bell system, you have so many things. In fact, I would advise Mr. Tiwari that just see the pending reports of the police, that the action-oriented schemes which can be done in Mumbai, which are pending because of money or other bureaucratic hurdles, they should be cleared. And lastly, check up the Nirbhay utilization. If you look into very, very carefully, you'll be able to do a lot. And then we'll perhaps be in a better shape to argue. And my last point is, the crime breakup, etc., that's a study which among those also would be done by the sociologists as to what is the breakup of crime, how this has been brought about, what happened during a pandemic, etc., etc. But our attack should be on immediately on how we should get the situation better, and we can certainly do it.
Yeah, Inak, should I add?
You've made some very important points, Mr. Azad. Kishore Tiwari, budget for prevention also needs to go up, don't you think?
No, I would like to assure Mr. Azad that Maharashtra, there was an issue with the Nirbhaya budget utilization, and there was the issue regarding that committee appointment and everything. But when we made everything online, so the reporting is up to date and registration of the crime at FIR is very up to date. But still, we will the suggestion given by the Yashwardhan Azad, we will consider it positively, because there should be an integrated approach toward the safety of women and children. And a lot of reports are pending. And always it happens when the fund is allotted, When the fund is allotted, it is only announced, and lastly, it is unutilized. So now our focus will be there. And you have shown the area from Bandra to Dahisar that comes under our Guardian Minister of Mumbai, Aditya Thackeray, and we will come back with you with the concrete program. And this is a matter of concern. And thanks for a mirror now. We have brought it to notice of our government. In fact, police officer always defend their action, and but the figure shows which is something serious. So Yashovardhan Azad, your suggestion will be considered seriously. Will be considered serious. Nothing. We cannot escape with the figure waves higher. One has to admit, and one should act as per to get the crime zero, at least not zero, to the minimal. But the epidemic has got some social issue. There are social engineering issues also that women will agree.
I think you've said it for our viewers that action will be taken, the steps which are needed will be taken, and we take your word, Mr. Tiwari. I appreciate all of you. Thank you very much for joining us here on Urban Debate on this very, very important issue this evening on Mirror Now. We'll, of course, be tracking the story closely ahead as well for you. For the moment, slipping into a very, very short break, news and updates continue on the other side as well. Stay with us.